Well, we owe our servers a big thank you. That wasn't planned that way, but we have, I guess so. We'll tip them later even. It's already been mentioned that an anniversary is coming up this next year, the 125th anniversary of the college in 1890 by the United Brethren Church then. And it closed in 1954 by the Evangelical United Brethren Church, and then opened in 1956, the Church of Christ. And as he said, it's almost a miracle that it's still in existence. Only lost 1 year in between the ownership. And we are the people who are benefiting from that. And the history is being published, and Crystal will mention more about that a little later. They're hoping to have it ready, I think, by homecoming this fall. But I found a little history myself after I received a letter from Betty Crandall. She was Betty Crum, and I don't think there's anyone here that knew her. She sent this letter. She'll be 95 in October, living in Florida now. And she was a student in 1939, 40, and 41. And I want to share the whole letter. Joyce Klingman Moore is going to read it for me, so you don't just hear my old voice all the time.
Did she? Well, his sister did. He said his sister went to school with her, and I wondered what sister.
What sister?
No, I think she did.
Oh, okay. I'll read the story. I'll read the letter, and then you see if who you think it is. Dear Dawn and Ramona, and she wrote this March 7, 2014. I received your legacy reunion invitation, and it brought back some of the best memories of my life. After searching, I found 2 York College yearbooks that you might be able to use in the library. I was Betty R. Crum as a student in years 39, 40, and 41. I lived in Des Moines at the time, and when I enrolled at York, I found all kinds of friendly young people, so became active in York activities: chorus, sports, English activities. 2 main things that made me very excited was being May Queen in 30 or 40. Lots of the girls picked roadside flowers to make it more attractive. Being the queen was really fun and exciting and such an honor. The other rewarding thing was being in the girls' trio who traveled by bus to nearby states to recruit students to York College. I've enclosed a few pictures. The trio was Bertha Riggs and Esther Johnson and myself. Bruce Harvin played the piano for us, and I wondered if she meant Bruce Herrick. Played the piano for us, and Reverend Harry Cook was also in the bus with us as a sort of sponsor. I very much appreciated being able to do this. It helped with my tuition. Teachers that impressed me and that I found very interesting and dedicated. President of the college then was D.E. Weidler, Dean Bachman, Charles Amidon, head of the chorus, Edith Callender, English, and Zelda Wakeland, teacher of German. When I joined the chorus, I met and started dating Wayne W. Dahlstedt. Is that the way? He was editor-in-chief of one of the marathons that I'm enclosing. When Wayne graduated, I was a junior then. We were met in the United Brethren Church in York. It was great that so many of the students attended. Wayne got a position teaching English at the University of Illinois in Champaign, Illinois. And after only 1 year there, World War II had started, and Wayne was drafted. After basic training in officer school, he was sent to Germany. He was a lieutenant replacement and was killed in action in Alsace-Lorraine, March 31st, 1945. I was devastated and was pregnant at the time. Wayne had met and become good friends with another soldier, whom I had met also, Richard Crandall. Well, Rick was shocked about Wayne's death and sent me sympathy. That started a correspondence. We continued, and he visited Des Moines after he had been a soldier for 3 years. It clicked. We got married, and he adopted young Wayne. Believe it or not, Rick and I have been married 67 years now. We can't believe it ourselves. We live in a retirement community in Florida now, and I will be 95 years old in October. Because I am old, and I use a cane, will not be able to come to York. Thank you for asking me. Sincerely, Betty R. Crandall.
I should add that Joyce also was May Queen and was also in the traveling women's chorus for more than 1 year, were you? One summer, yeah. Thank you, Joyce. I said that's the type of an account and letter that's what novels are made of. And more effect of the war. Do we have anyone, we don't have anyone here now who's a veteran of World War II, do we? We're past. You were. Will you please stand up there? I'm sorry, I don't want to write you off this fast. Stand up. Dr. Cam. What year?
I was drafted right toward the tail end of it. Right after the end of the 45 school year in New York, I was drafted.
Yeah. Les?
I was in 44th and 42nd.
Really? Just before the end?
Yeah.
Fred?
I was at boot camp when the war ended.
You phrase that right.
Greatest generation.
That, right. While we're on that, right on the heels of that then came the Korean conflict. And you guys who were in during that time stand up. I know about 1953 when Don was drafted, there were several out of the college that didn't want to start another year and get pulled out in the middle of the year. So, Edward, I know you weren't a student, but you were in the service during that time.
No, I'm not during the Korean War. It was after the Korean War I was in.
Okay.
56.
So Gary Bracken and Eddie and Don and Keith McGill, thank you, and Mark. So then who served in peacetime? Edward, anyone else that served in peacetime? Edward was a pilot. Hauled a lot of cargo between the U.S. and Europe, right?
And families.
And what?
Families.
Oh, really? Thank you all for your service. I also found here, it was lying on the table, I don't know who brought it, a copy of an article from the Sandberg, and in essence it says, the war claims students' thoughts. No longer are students worried about football uniforms. How is it that World War II is going to affect them? Will I be drafted? Will I be in college next year? There is no fear, no emotion, only the speculative next year attitude evident everywhere. And that was in the Sandberg. We know that the war took many of the young men out of all areas of life, and York College is no exception. between 1944 and 45, enrollment at YC dropped to nearly half its normal number. And I guess I was surprised at this. 16 men from York College were killed in action in World War II. The 1946 marathon has a picture of the honor roll of those who served, and I wonder what happened to that honor roll. Has ever been located? But in that marathon we had on the table, it's in the archives. There were no marathons made in 43, 44, and 45. So the 1946 marathon carried the senior classes from 1943 to 44 to 45. If you take time and want to look through the ones that are out there from the archives, you'll find that. And in the 1946 marathon, the 39 and 40 marathons are in one book. Then, okay.
Do you have that book?
The marathons, they were on the table, the archival table in there. They're cataloged in the archives. Now for some notes from some of our classmates and fellow students. Jean Stone is going to share. Jean is our master communicator. She doesn't own a computer, but she's in touch with more people than those of us on Facebook and email.
I've been accused of living under a rock, but it's because I worked in the president in a large hospital for so many years, and I got tired of the phone in my ear and trying to keep everybody from seeing him and trying to keep up with the computers, since I was working back in the dark ages and would have to take a new computer class. So I get along just fine with my IBM electric typewriter and my cell phone. I did learn to text because I have 6 more granddaughters besides the 2 who are with me, five more and 1 grandson. That was my reward for raising 3 ornery boys. So the cell phone really helps me because I have all those free minutes. And I have time now since I don't have Tom. Mary Lou Warner was also in college in the 40s before most of us were here. And she was secretary to the president, Dr. Bachman, during the 4 years that many of us were here and the people who were graduating in 1954. Yesterday, she was 97 years old, and she has some memory loss. She worked after being at Westmar. She was at Westmar for a couple of years after she left York, and then she was in Dayton where we knew her, and just all through our lives, we had a chance to keep knowing Mary Lou because she kept being where we were close enough that we could go back to Otterbein Home, which some of you have probably been to Otterbein Home too, in Ohio. And we had retirees from when Tom was in seminary in Dayton that had gone there. So it's harder to talk with her, but she would love to hear from some of you. So I had left a card on one of the tables in there if you want to sign it. I wrote to her the other day. Her middle name, by the way, is spelled L-U-E. And if you want to know about that, check with Marilyn. So if you think 97 was an advanced age, Lucille Tonkin, who's probably one of our oldest alumni, you think? She celebrated her 100th birthday on the 9th or 10th of March. Well, the celebration, I think, was on the 9th. And she lives in a very beautiful residential facility for people in her situation in Lincoln, Nebraska. I think Shirley was
I attended, yes.
Was at that, and many of us sent packages and other gifts. She and I talk at 100 years age. She's a good old Kansas girl, and her memory is just great. And so we talk very often. She's doing well. A lot of you knew Orly Lewis and Myron Fessler. Some of us know them better than some of you knew them, but they need our prayers. They both have very difficult health-related problems to deal with. They live in Southern California, and with the help of their children, they now live in an apartment. And I know I wanted to be sure that Lowell knew that, because you had roomed together, right? Not with Orly, but, you know. And Darlene Herrick was Darlene Lewis, Orly's sister, and she's widowed now. Most of you knew Bob when he was a student. Some of you knew that Bob went on then to be a professor at Westmar for many, many years. And they lived in retirement in Green Valley, Arizona. They're still there. Some of these addresses are available if any of you want them. I didn't put telephone numbers because for some of them, telephone calls just really aren't that appropriate. For the football guys, now all of these are people that I've talked to very recently. And Don Shabusky, who came with Coach Haight, and Pete Neidel and Tom Stone wanted all of the football boys to know that he remembers you and how much he enjoyed being here. He also was drafted like you were right after his junior year, I guess, because he was not in that 53, 54 yearbook. His wife is not doing well at all health-wise, and if you want to know anything more about that, you can ask me. 2 years ago, Bertie asked us to bring something from our area that was unique to our area. So I tried to think of something that was unique to St. Louis area, except the Cardinals. I couldn't bring them very well. So then
You could have.
What?
You would have if you.
Oh, I would have, because I hate missing their games tonight. But anyway, before we even moved there, because of Tom's health situation, I started getting computer things that had a picture of this ketchup bottle. So it was a water tower, and it's located a few miles from where I live. So 2 years ago, some of you will remember that I brought you some ketchup. Well, it was good, but you people let me down. You evidently didn't buy enough after you took home all that ketchup that I brought to you. And so now it's for sale. So if you have always wanted to own a water tower that looks like a ketchup bottle, here's your chance. And there's even a utility building, a warehouse building with it. So you see me afterwards if you want to do that. I'm sure there are many, many more among our group. Probably I'll think of somebody that I should have mentioned to you, but sure, I'm a communicator, so if there's someone you want to know about, you ask me, and if I don't know, I'll try to find out.
Bob Herrick, just back
So be sure you have her address before you leave here. One of our alumni had called me a while back and thought that Dr. Knoll should be recognized, and I said that would be great if you're coming and you can do it. Well, he's not here. So I've asked Dr. Frank Cam to come and just give a little background on Dr. Knoll, our great science teacher. There's some of us that could have some gory stories to tell you about lab, but
How many of you had classes under Dr. Knoll? Oh, wow. That's a lot more higher than I expected. Yeah, did you hear me? You need this? Okay. Okay. I've always was impressed with the devotion of the York College faculty. But it wasn't until my senior year that I really became impressed. How many of you had anatomy classes? Okay, not very many. You ever wonder where those cats came from?
I helped get some.
Yeah, my senior year, he asked me if I'd help him out one night.
We got 50 cents a piece for those.
Yeah, and they were prepared in the basement of the library by the furnace. Anyway, that's just part of it. But Dr. Knoll was a special individual. The way this got started with Margaret, I picked up her book this morning that she brought of hers. And I learned a new thing too that I don't know how to say it, but her pictures were much, much better than mine. They were colored in with colored pencils, He had diagrams of the plant or anatomy of animals and so on, and you were to color in the various plant with various colors with every organ and everything that there was in it. And the thing that really bothered me a little, hers were much, much better than mine, but mine had better grades on them. So he was always there. He was forever, anything that he could do for any suit or anything else. And I had no idea when I came that I was interested in medicine. My two older brothers had come to New York, so I just thought I ought to go to college, but I graduated. And it wasn't until maybe about sophomore or junior year that, with Dr. Null, that I got interested in medicine. Now, when I applied in 1949, the ratio of applicants was about 15 to 1. For every one that could be accepted, there were about 15 applicants. Because the crush of post-World War II Army personnel were just getting out of service and just hitting their preparation to get into medical school at that time too. So I didn't think there was much chance really. But later I learned that Dr. Hall had a special arrangement and special consideration for anybody he recommended. And that's how I got admitted.
Amen.
Yes, the fact that he had an extremely, I want to say, high ratio of guys that he'd sent into med school that completed med school, I would say close to 100%. You knew of one who didn't stay in, but he had a very good reputation for preparing the pre-med students there. Yeah, two of my lab books are out there. Jerry wrote up a little experience from the freshman zoology or anatomy class, how we handled the frogs. That's all. I won't read that gory account to you since you just ate, but you can read it in there if you want to. The cats were in the formaldehyde tub in the basement of the house. That was your final exam, to go down and name all the muscles of the cat with that smelly formaldehyde.
Well, Dr. Null also had a little deal with the policeman too.
With what?
With the policeman. So that if there was a dog or a cat, he would come and pick them up.
Yeah, I think he pretty well took care of all the stray cats in town. I'm not sure if he skinned them all or not, or did. And my boyfriend would bring in the rabbits to take the tapeworms out of them. Some of you remember that. Anything else to add to that?
He sold the tapeworms and bought peony bush bulbs. And then he sold the peonies for memorial.
I know he had a tremendous garden of peonies and he experimented with them. Anything else? All the secrets are coming out.
We had an obviously squirmy dog on campus. A lot of us saw that, and we told Dr. Null about it. He said, bring it in. So we did. And then one day in class, he euthanized it. He put it to sleep and then started cutting up the intestines to see if there were worms in there. And he went quite a ways. And he almost cried. He said, oh, don't tell me that we put a dog to sleep that didn't have worms. But then all of a sudden he hit this pack of worms. I knew that was a nice story to tell.
Maybe it was things like that that spurred me on to major in biology. I don't know why.
Do they do things like that at school?
Well, I won't tell you about the pig's eye. We can do without that.
Okay, so Jean has a story, Jerry has a story. You can share later in private. Any other reminiscing you want to bring up now before we move on? Before we kind of look back at the nostalgic things that we remember, like our skate keys or roll-up jeans and saddle shoes, and we passed 50th anniversaries and 55th and 60th, and how many years have Cams been married?
65.
They've been married 65 years this year.
Not quite.
So we're grateful that we can still be together. Who would have thought that we'd be sitting here in the year 2014? So instead of looking back at nostalgic things, let's look to the future. How much change do you think there will be? So are you ready? Here are a few things that will disappear in our lifetime and maybe even before we're gone, or our children's lifetime. What about the post office? A world without a post office? Well, it's probably coming faster than we think. The check. Plastic cards and online transactions will lead to the eventual demise of the check. And that ties into the death of the post office. You pay your bills online or send them to the post office. The newspaper. That's happening faster than we realize too. The younger generation simply doesn't read the newspaper, or they subscribe to an online print edition. For me, that's my morning ritual, is to go to the front door and pick up the paper. The book, oh no. But is it or isn't it going to disappear? I think there are mixed feelings on that one. However, you can browse books on online bookstores and even maybe read a sample chapter of it and then get it for half the price. And what about textbooks, college textbooks? A lot of college work is done online now too. I don't know if I'd be able to study in front of a computer screen, but then I probably didn't study very much with a big textbook either. I learned in the lab. So, and music. How many of you still have your own records? Our daughter took all of our records. I had quite a few of them in the 60s and 70s. And took them. She has put most of that music now on an iPod for me. What's funny though is the three kids are fighting over who gets which records. They've all gone, the three of them have gone through all the records and picked out the ones that they want. They say, who got the Burl Ives one? So that's been kind of fun too. And TV, yeah, even TV, which may even seem new to us, and even now, more people are watching movies on streamed online on the computer. Primetime shows have degenerated and cable rates are skyrocketing. And the landline telephone, how many of you have your cell phones with you? So that means no telephone book too, right? Are we going to adjust to all this? Even cursive handwriting is not really being taught in all the schools. I think some still do, but it's all keyboarding. So we've got a lot of change coming ahead of us. We're going through a lot of change now. So all that we have left that can't be changed are our memories, right?
Friendship.
What?
Friendship.
Okay, kinship and memories. Friendship, kinship. Anyone else have anything to add?
My sister Esther.
What about it? You want-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how many, I think a few of you will remember my sister Esther. And she just turned 90 years old last February. and went back.
Esther McGill.
Esther McGill, who we're talking about. She turned 90, and I kind of came on two eras here. I was in grade school, and we lived right on Kipling, right across from Middlebrook home. That's when my dad was in the service as a chaplain. He spent 3.5 years over there. Never saw him for 3.5 years. I'll never forget coming back, and Kenneth is our youngest brother. Says, how am I going to know my daddy? He was 6. He was 2.5 when he left. And he perked up and said, I know, I'll get a picture. And when the soldiers get off the train, I'll find my daddy. He was the only soldier to get off the train. And many people have asked me, I'm in my 64th year of broadcasting. That's why this voice sounds this way. I just got through doing 10 baseball games in the last week at a state tournament. I love doing it. As long as the good Lord lets me do it, I want to keep doing it. But to Esther sends her greetings, and she does all of our family history on the computer. She's as sharp as a tack. She's my big sister and never lets me forget it.
Keith, where is she living?
She's living in the Brooks House, retirement home in Asheville, North
She's the
Carolina.
longest person that lives there.
Is she the oldest one there now?
Yeah, she's now the longest.
Yeah, I've had former friends and teachers live there also. Okay. We're going to have Marilyn share the departing blessing, but also then I have a poem, and we'll close with the college song. And let me say, if the keyboard happens to stop while you're singing the song, just keep singing, because there's a wire in there that has to be in a certain position.
Did you want me to say anything?
What?
Did you want me to say anything?
Yes, I'm sorry.
You want Marilyn to go first?
Crystal has lots to tell us. No. Sorry, I knew I'd plug up somewhere along the line.
You want Marilyn can go first, and then I can
No,
wrap
come on
that.
up.
Okay, okay.
While Crystal's coming up, how many of you remember Dr. Hedden?
Yes.
Okay, remember what his first speech was, every class, new class? Those who sit down closer to the front get better grades. Yeah, one time he said, I had a couple of young ladies who were trying to get A's.
He sat down front, better grades, yeah, a couple of young girls trying to get A's. Right down there.
All right. I'll keep it brief, because I know Marilyn is going to be far more interesting than what I have to talk about. So we are going into a year of celebration. We're getting ready to celebrate 125 years since York College was founded. And in that year of celebration, we want to really focus on how much we value our past and our rich heritage, and moving into the future, the next 125 years with strength. So a couple of exciting things on the horizon that probably you saw in the last issue of the Heritage Magazine, which if you didn't get that, let me know and I'll give you a copy. The new Performing Arts Center that's going to be built. We've already broken ground on that, though the official ceremony isn't until homecoming. There might already be walls up, but we're going to have a groundbreaking ceremony while people are here for homecoming in October. And that is, we're hopefully going to complete that by next fall, so fall 2015. And then also, you guys, many of you saw the museum space that we're installing in the basement of this building. That hopefully will be opening also in 2015. So that will be a really exciting addition for the campus. And if you didn't get to see that space, you can follow up with me tomorrow and we could take another trip down there tomorrow. Another thing that's kind of changing and exciting right now is that we have updated our logo. And some people are saying, you know, what happened to the seal? That's what we've been used to. And it's not going away. We're keeping the seal. We're just going to be more selective about its use. We used a marketing firm to kind of evaluate all of our our marketing ideas, and we've had difficulty talking about what York College is really all about. And we've talked a lot about like the York experience. Is that a phrase that any of you have heard before? Kind of about what goes on campus here. But we haven't had a great idea of our true identity. And we felt like it was time to really evaluate who we are and look at how we represent ourselves. So we worked with this marketing firm, and one of the things that they suggested was most colleges, when they have an official college seal, they retain that just for presidential use. They put it on the diploma, they put it only on official documents. And that your logo, your everyday logo, should be something that really tells a story about who you are. So to come up with our new logo, which was on the screen a minute ago, we asked students, we asked current students, prospective students, former students, and parents of students a whole host of questions. Did anybody respond to that survey in this room? It was all online, so I don't know if many of you guys responded to that, but if you had an email address, you probably got an invitation to do that. But so we asked those 4 constituent groups, questions about themselves and who they are, as well as their opinions about what York College is and does and what it has been through the ages. And we were so excited when we got these responses back, because we found that our alumni really love York College and are still so supportive and engaged. The marketing firm we worked with was blown away. They said, we've never seen a college that had this kind of alumni engagement. So we were excited about that. What it revealed, the surveys revealed about who our students are, also really impressed us. They said our students, they're not necessarily the top students in the nation. They're not, the most talented students in the nation. They are the most hardworking students.
Amen.
They self-identified that way, and then the parents that filled out that survey, they said that as well. My student or myself, I'm the one that's going to work hard to get what I want. So we were impressed with that. Our students also said that they are spiritually focused and they have a deep commitment to service. So we felt like that was an authentic representation not only of our current students, but of our students through the ages. You guys feel like that was true of your time at York College?
Yes.
So yeah, how many pastors, and I was just mentioning that today to one of my colleagues who was up here helping me move the piano. I don't know if some of you got to meet Emily, but she's even younger than I am, and she doesn't have a whole lot of knowledge about, the pre-Church of Christ era at York College. And I was telling her, it was even more service-driven than York College is now. And I said a huge percentage of the student population wound up, going to Africa and serving in Sierra Leone or going into the ministry. And I said that's, they were even more excited about the mission aspect even than students are today. And she was very impressed with that. But when we kind of boiled down all those survey results and looked at who we are and how we should represent ourselves going forward, we were really pleased with that document. The marketing firm said, never be ashamed to tout that this is a very Christian institution that is completely authentic to the brand, and that is a powerful thing. And that we are a small Christian institution is part of that strength. Also, the idea that York College is a place where you can be engaged. That word engagement, they said, really encompasses who we are. You don't have to be just an athlete here or just in the choir. You can be engaged in lots of different aspects on campus. You engage deeply with the students, with the faculty, and you engage with the Lord at York College. So they helped us to kind of craft our message, and they said the motto that they feel like really encompassed who we are is Christ-centered education that transforms. We like that. So I think some of you have noticed the new logo that looks like the window at the prayer chapel. And it's on your name tags. If you haven't seen it before, look down, go ahead, there it is. That was chosen after a lot of deliberation because, first of all, it really represents the spiritual aspect of York College. We didn't feel like the seal really spoke to that element of the college. And so that was something that we were really striving for. the latest Heritage had a write-up about what the different pieces of that logo mean, and I'm not going to go into all of that right now, but if you want to know more about each of the elements of that, you can check out this spread. But at the base of that, the window, it looks like a book at the bottom, and that's the holy word. That's the scriptures, and that is the foundation of the school. And then the rest of the windows have to do with that transformation that occurs at your college. So we wanted to show you this little video that is about the new message of York College, which is the same message that we've had for many years, that this is a place where students are coming to be transformed. And we just got this video last week, and we put it on YouTube, and it's already got 15,000 views, so we think people like it, so we wanted to share that with you.
May the good Lord bless and keep you, whether near or far away. May you have that gold awaiting, rolled in the day today. May your troubles all be small ones, and your fortunes 10 times 10. May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again. May you walk with sunlight shining and a bluebird in every tree. May there be a silver lining back of every cloud you see. Fill your dreams with sweet tomorrows. Never mind what might have been. May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again. May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again. God bless all of you.
I would like to close with this poem. I'm not sure how I got this, but Andy Peterson was a student here at York in '54 when the school closed, and he also went to Westmore to finish. And in 1955, he wrote this poem. A college stood upon a hill in York, the blue and white, the panther and the team. But those who tramp these halls know well that York is bigger than the passerby could dream. A college died upon the hill in York. The campus halls grew quiet in '54. The classrooms closed, the teachers' voices fade, while graduates file from soon to close old doors. But no, the college lives. It has not died. It was not on the hill or in the halls. The college lives within the hearts of those who, passing through, marched on to higher calls. It lives in memories surely, and in thoughts, but these will die as men go 'neath the sod, but ne'er will die the influence of the ones who, passing through, served fellow man and God.
Good.